Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. It's a little cooler today, so I've put on some knitwear and even a little bit of a sleeve. It's definitely feeling much more autumnal, and we are getting a lot more moisture on the ground. Those mornings are still way too dark. I cannot wait for daylight savings to finish so that we can have a little bit more light in the morning. Last week, I was talking about maybe redoing the fence out here. So after that, I was quite inspired and I drew myself a little map of the area, very crude map, and measured out the lengths of all of the different areas that I might need to fence. Had a chat with my brother-in-law Adam, who does all of the farm things here, and he helped me to figure out what I wanted to do. I think which will look much nicer and hopefully be less pushing on the fence will be to make it a post and rail, but we're just going to use round poles and screw the rails in and keep the mesh that's out there already and staple that to the rails that we create so that there is mesh and rail, and so when they push against it, it doesn't go anywhere. So the best way to do that is to do as many straight lines as you possibly can. I have a chair out here, like a wooden chair with some plants behind it. And Adam's suggestion was to actually include that in the sheep paddock to create a bit more space for them. But that will also then mean that we have less corners. So there'll be one post out here, which will be the corner post. It will run all the way along one side of the shed and then down towards the fence that's already existing out towards our dam paddock. And then I can run another one from this corner the other way to the other paddock that already exists as well, and get rid of all of the star pickets from out here, all of the wonky bits of wire that are currently in place. So hopefully I've measured everything correctly. He left that up to me to do. So I've measured. We're also going to put a gate in. So I'll be able to get out through the sliding doors and into the paddock just here. And then there's another bigger gate on the other side. So I can go straight out from the shed out into the paddocks and into the bush without having to go out and around a different way. And we'll fix up the little run area that we'd already created with some new post and rail through there as well. And I'm excited that it's hopefully going to look really nice. So I just need to check. He said that there's already one gate somewhere that I might be able to use. So I just need to measure that and see if it's going to fit into the little run area that we already have the width for. And then he will go ahead and place the order for the rest of the bits and pieces. And it's probably something that we may not do straight away. I think it might end up being a bit of a winter job because we need the ground to be a little bit more moist so that we can dig the holes. So that's the hardest part, getting all of the posts in deep enough. There's also quite a bit of rubble through here from when my pa's old concrete slab from his old shed was demolished to put this shed in, and all of the rubble was kind of dug out and moved aside. So there could be some challenges in terms of getting posts in, but hopefully we can, move it a little bit either side and be able to figure that out. So yeah, I'm excited for this new project that will be happening here by the shed, and I think it will make it look much smarter and cleaner. And I'll also feel more comfortable about leaving the sheep in here for a longer period of time without having to come and check on them, because at the moment it is very rickety and they can kind of almost climb out because the wire is sagging so badly. And I've been putting extra star pickets in, but there's only so many you can do, and it still isn't making all that much difference. Vito's not too bad out there by himself now because he's getting to use all of the grass in this area. He's also got a hay bag and his own water, and I've been coming over and feeding them all grain most days, and I always make sure that I feed him first so he doesn't get too grumpy. And I think that's going okay so far. As this video goes live, I will be at the Kyneton All About Fibre and Yarn Market, my first market for the year. So I'm really excited to be getting ready to go to that now. I've done all of the labeling and rescanning, and I've started to work out how my stall is going to look, in particular with my new Aura base and with my sample Evina in the middle of it all. As you can see, I keep pointing the wrong way. As you can see, I have my lady here is missing, and this is what she used to be wearing. So I have dressed her in the Evina, and she will be at my market stall as the sample for the new yarn base. The next few months are going to be quite busy with other markets coming up as well. I've got Gabby's, the Geelong and Bellarine Yarn Show, more All About Fibre and Yarn markets, and also the Mooroolbark Yarn and Handicraft Show. I'll put some dates up on the screen for you so that you can take a look at those, and hopefully you can come and see me at one of those in the future. First to what I'm wearing this week, this is the Maze by Marie Amelie Designs. And this is from a discontinued yarn base that I used to stock in the Lilac colourway. So I can still dye the lilac. I just don't have any more of this base left, which is quite sad. It was an alpaca merino nylon blend, 4-ply yarn. It's a great top. I really like it. It's a little bit cute. It's got like the little puff sleeves, good sleeve length, and you can kind of push them up a little bit, and it stays. It's like quite a good length sleeve. Really cute. So I popped it over the top of a dress the other day. I can wear it with skirts and pants, and my lady was wearing it for quite a while here. So I washed it and laid it out to dry, and so it's all back to being my shape again rather than my slightly larger breasted mannequin. And I'm glad to have it back in the rotation of my clothing. My plan is, I think, that I'd like to make myself another one of these. I think it's just a really good top, and her designs really seem to fit me quite well. I've really impressed with, they're all free patterns that she has, and they're very clearly written, and they're really quite like timeless and fashionable and my kind of style in terms of what I'd like to wear. I want to experiment with, now I'm kind of reverting back into talking about business stuff now, because what I want to do is make a sample with some other new yarn that I purchased a little while ago that am thinking about introducing into the shop. And I thought that before I do that, I should make something with it, like I did with the Aura, the 8-ply brushed merino. So what I want to do is make, I think, another one of these maze tops with this yarn. So I've dyed this up a little while ago. So it's a light blue with some golds and oranges and greens and pinks through it. I've got 4 skeins dyed up. I should only need 2 to make one of these tops in my size. And this is a 50% merino, 50% pure silk. And I think that this will just make a really lovely, smart looking top in this sort of slightly shiny yarn. The merino will give it structure, the silk will give it drape, and also make it quite good for slightly warmer, sort of those transseasonal type of days. And so I'm very tempted to cast this on quite soon, with the thought that once I've started knitting with it, if I really like how it's knitting up and the feel of it, I might be able to get some in and dyed up for some of those upcoming markets. So that is on my radar. But having said that, there's quite a lot on my radar right now in terms of things that I want to make. After finishing a couple of things, like the Evina and my crochet blanket, which I'll show you in a minute, I'm very much in one of those not really settled on any one project and just thinking about so many different options. So the maze with this is one of those. And I'll speak about some of the rest in a minute after I've shown you my finished blanket. So I finished the blanket that I was making out of the Valley acrylic yarn in the LaTrobe Colourway. I used some pink from my stash just to do all of the edging. It was also used in the jumper that I made for my sister that had this yarn in it as well. I did a 9-round granny square turning after each round, so they're nice and square. I ended up with 15 from the scraps that I had left, so it's 5 across and 3 deep. And already the cats are loving this. I had it across my lap last night and I had both of them really snuggled up tight on the blanket, and that let me be able to do my knitting because they were down enjoying this yarn instead of my current project. I really enjoyed this crochet blanket, and so I've been a little bit thinking about maybe starting another crochet project, not amigurumi, but maybe even a garment. I know, who am I? I think knitting is still my thing, but I would like to start to experiment a little bit with crochet. But yeah, finished blanket. I also made a little bit of progress on my EXP by Senna & Co. I'm using the Kello kit by Louie and Lola. So this is the Kello colorway and this is the bronze. You can still actually buy these kits from Louie and Lola's website, and it is an absolute stunning combination. I'm so glad that I ended up getting a kit because I'm not sure that I would have put these two together, and I'm really loving how it's turning out. I'm just going to turn it so you can see. Look how amazing. I do have a lifeline in here. That's that funny blip across there, but the color, it's hard to see really clearly, but it is just stunning. And I've started to do the increases. You can see one there. So last week I was talking about the color changes and that I wasn't super happy with how I did them. So I ripped it all back and I've started again. I am still doing the knit every round, every second round, and then doing a knit one, purl the row below. And the inside, the side that I'm probably not going to wear it on as often, is still not coming out as neatly as I would like. It might turn out a bit better with blocking, but it's not super neat. You can see it's just a little bit darker than the rest, and it's a little bit wonky there, but yeah, you can kind of see it, whereas across here you can see it's a little bit of color and here it's quite concentrated. I think that's just because that's where the twisting has to happen. So, but the outside, or the side that's now will be the public side, is looking really, really good. It was too close together before. It was pulling. You could see too much of the coloured yarn through, whereas I think I'm doing a much better job now. So I'm alternating the colours on what's technically the right side for me, which is this side, but what is the wrong side for the sides that's going to show out. So that's working much, much better. Now I'm getting into the increases and the shaping, and I'm having to think backwards on everything, which I kind of hadn't factored in when I first started doing the knit every second round, because the increases are then knit one below, yarn over, knit one below, purl one all the way around. So I'm having to sort of move my whole project over one. So I do a knit one and then a purl below, yarn over, purl below. So far it's looking pretty good. My only problem was that I couldn't figure out if I was going to be able to fold the hem down to create the rolled edge, which has a little bit of just the bronze showing, and then you go into this color. I couldn't figure out if I was going to be able to do that the way the pattern suggested, and then be able to keep this side on this side and this side on that side, if you know what I mean. So instead of doing that sew down before I continued on, I'm going to leave it on the provisional cast on and leave this lifeline in, which is where this needs to be sewed to. And I can do it at any time and just fold it down and attach it just by sewing it rather than knitting it down. And that way I didn't have to worry about committing to something that ended up being completely wrong. So it is a little slow going. I did pause on it for a few days because I was doing all this other dreaming about projects and was looking at lots of things on Ravelry and YouTube and went down a few rabbit holes. But I am back into it now. And now that I've got these markers established, I've done some increases and now I just need to follow the size instructions to continue on with the shoulder and the raglan increases to create the sleeves and the body portions. And it's super easy in the pattern because you just choose your size and then you go to the chart at the back and you can tick off the rows as you go. I think I'm going to do the third size, so it will end up being quite oversized, I think, because I'm going to have plenty of yarn to be able to do that. And up until this point, basically this number of stitches that I've done up until now could have gotten me the second, third, or fourth, I think. So now I have to make a decision about which one I'm actually going to go with. So in addition to wanting to make one of these with this, I also have been thinking about a new crochet project. And I don't know why I do this to myself, but I want to make a duster jacket out of mohair, crocheted mohair. So I had these samples that I knit ages ago. I was originally wanting to make the Evanescence by Joji Locatelli, and I cast it on, but I just didn't want to work out the number of stripes and how it was going to work and do the stitch pattern. It's a beautiful garment, but knit on this size gauge was going to take me absolutely forever, and I just wasn't end up going to do the lace, I don't think so. But I had experimented with these samples in marling the colors together to create a thicker yarn, and I really enjoyed how the mohair came out being marled. It is Alla Ray Kid Sparkle, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I have 6 or 7 different colors. I don't have them all in this marl. So there's plenty of options and quite a lot of yardage because each of these balls is 830 meters. So I'll have plenty to be able to make a long jacket, hopefully in crochet. So I started looking up for patterns, right? Crochet, duster jacket, mohair, 8 ply. Everything is chunky and worsted weight, and it's acrylic, and so it's all going to sit a little bit differently and react a little bit differently. So I found a pattern which is a 10 ply pattern called the Cami Jacket by TL Yarn Crafts. And I've heard of her as quite an expert in crochet. So I watched her YouTube tutorial on the jacket that she made, and it looks like it's doable for me, right? It's just like panels that are like squares and then you join them together. I think I can manage that. It's kind of just like doing a blanket. So, and then I can choose when I change my colors, because the stripes will be going up the body and then they'll be going up the sleeve. And I kind of did a little gauge swatch holding two bits of the mohair together on a 5 or 5.5 mil crochet hook, and I was getting about half the number of stitches that I needed. So if I go up a couple of sizes in the pattern, then I should get about the width that I needed. So I've done a little bit of maths, and I'm just going to stick with this idea for a little while and see if, after I've thought about it and done a little bit more planning out and sort of calculating out gauge and numbers, whether or not I think that I want to or not. But I think that it'll get through quite a lot of this mohair, which has been sitting in a bag in my little container by my chair for quite a while, because I hadn't had any space in my stash cupboard to put it. And I like the idea of using this for a duster jacket kind of thing, because it'll be light and flowy and can kind of go on over the top of almost anything. My thought then is, instead of doing ribbing around the bottom and around the collar, is to use the white fluff yarn that I used for my sister's jumper and just do a really simple crochet, like, or even knit border around, just attaching just one row of the fluff all the way around the outside. And because the rest will be mohair and this will be the fluff around the cuffs and the borders, it will weigh it down a little bit and make it not quite so flowy and fly away, and maybe give it a little bit of structure. I don't know. That's my thought so far. We'll see. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.